I need to make an apology for John E. Mack and the experiencers and alien abductees that he inspired to take their dreams as seriously as reality. For those who don't know, John E. Mack was the most credentialed and famous alien abduction researcher of the 1990s. Nearly all the proponents of contemporary UAP disclosure value his credentials as a Harvard psychiatrist and a Pulitzer Prize winner, like the reporters Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Kean, who wrote the now famous 2017 New York Times article on the secret government study of UAPs. My connection with John Mack is conflicted. I'm surrounded by people inspired by Mack, and I'm inspired by him too. I'm the first PhD student in an accredited institute who holds a credulous research focus on extraterrestrial and non-human intelligence contact in dreams. I intend to conduct research in the field that Mack created using similar methods. Therefore, I need to rigorously examine and question his work. I ran into a challenge this year with John Mack, which completely confused me and isolated me from the experiencer and UAP disclosure community. I sought to validate claims like UAPs are real, law courts would admit testimony of ET-NHI encounters based on standards of evidence, or body marks may serve as evidence for extraterrestrial or non-human intelligence encounters. At the beginning, I was very biased towards non-human intelligence or UAP narratives, evidenced by my declaration of my credulous research focus in my PhD entrance essay. My challenge with Mack arose when I questioned why and how we believe in many tenets of UAP disclosure. Many UAP disclosure claims seem to involve Robert Bigelow and rely upon Mack's credentials. I concluded that contemporary UAP disclosure claims unconsciously rely upon an appeal to authority argument involving Mack's credentials. Simply put, many people believe in UAP disclosures because Blumenthal and Kean reported on Bigelow's UAP research with the US government, which he sold to the world by borrowing Mack's credentials. My argument is based on literature review and original documents from the John E. Mack archives at the Archives of the Impossible, but that's too much to spell out now. If Mack's belief in NHI and UAP encounters is central to contemporary UAP disclosure, then why did he believe in extraterrestrial non-human intelligence, UFO, UAP contact? He believed because he interviewed experiencers and discerned that their testimony was real and not a dream. If you actually go back to his books, read through the conference proceedings, and sample the cases that were available to him, you will see that most alien abduction cases are supported primarily with testimony derived from dreams or hypnosis that Mack said was eyewitness testimony and therefore could be evidentiary. However, as a PhD student with rigorous standards, I needed to evaluate if Mack was qualified to discern whether his patients' or subjects' dreams were not dreams at all, but actually could be evidence in eyewitness testimony. Unfortunately, I found no evidence that Mack could make such discernments according to contemporary understandings of dream studies and sleep science. I could find no documentation that Mack considered or referenced literature regarding sleep paralysis, dreams, false memory, or hypnosis by the time alien abduction hit the mainstream in around 1992 to 1994. Mack wrote a well-regarded book on nightmares in the 1970s, which was before lucid dreaming was scientifically proven. He studied hypnosis with Bud Hopkins, an artist turned abduction researcher. Mack also developed his method of light relaxation while studying holotropic breathwork with Stanislav Grof. He referenced many transpersonal topics, but he never seriously published his thoughts on sleep paralysis or false memory science in a way that I could use today to establish an ethical and rigorous method of study. The situation turned from challenge to crisis when I considered the possibility that Mack hypnotized his sleep paralysis experiencers to publicly offer their sleep paralysis nightmares as evidence for traumatic alien abduction. All the trauma that we associate with alien abduction All the powerlessness, the confusion, the pain may actually be caused by Mack's use of hypnosis or hypnosis-like methods that he used to interpret those nightmarish dreams as evidence. Actually, my inquiry into alien crop circles this summer provided insight into alien abduction that made my ethical crisis overwhelming. I realized that all crop circles may be human-made by looking at evidence for their human construction and looking at what human crop circle makers say about alien crop circles. I now see the circles as Earth art with possible paranormal effects like balls of light, which may be inspired by non-human intelligences or are UAP, but ultimately the crop circles are laid into the crop by human actions. Belief in alien crop circles then seems to arise from a complex function involving art, media, pseudoscience, and research. Similarly, I wondered if alien abduction could arise from a similarly complex function. When I repeatedly viewed Mack's introduction of Peter Faust to Oprah in 1994, I stopped seeing a heroic researcher and a traumatized victim of alien abduction that he helped. I started seeing a villain who used unethical methods to coerce powerful dreamers to help sell his books on national media. More importantly, I started to understand why I was afraid that my dreams were evidence of alien abduction since the 1990s. I realized that John E. Mack was a primary reason that I thought I may be kidnapped and violated by space aliens because I experienced sleep paralysis and other powerful dream phenomena. While everyone in the UAP disclosure community honored Mack as a hero, I started to see him as a villain. I started to equate Mack-influenced terms like experiencer and non-human intelligence with a dangerous pathway to harmful false memories of alien abduction. I documented my inquiries and triggers with Mack through a series of videos on this YouTube channel and in articles on my blog. The content triggered me and some of the Mackian community. However, I felt it was more important to confront Mack's skeletons in the closet than blindly move forward. I knew that my arguments are valid and that the skeptical mainstream could poke at them to destroy the credibility of the UAP disclosure movement and experiencer and UAP research. Therefore, I decided to pursue truth regardless of its political implications so that I could bolster experiencer testimony, not discredit it. About halfway through the year, I stopped performing dream work and regression sessions because of my ethical crisis, which was one of the ways I paid my tuition bill. I didn't consciously stop. I kept doing consultations for a while, but it took me until the fall quarter to realize that I couldn't pay my tuition bill from the spring and needed to do something different for the fall. The most powerful series of lucid dreams and omens that I have ever experienced guided me to apply for a leave of absence for ethical reasons. I worked with my program director to document my concerns and submit them to the school and engage in a path of ethical inquiry to help me find a solution to my crisis. I feel like my concerns have been heard and that I am now on a path to resolve them in the new field of UAP and consciousness studies. I feel like I've extracted a poison from my body and now I'm healing from it. I now see Mack and UAP disclosure quite differently than I did a month or 6 months ago. It felt like Mack's poor initial methods are the elephant in the room of UAP disclosure. Now that I have an official conversation about my concerns, I can now focus on why I actually started my path of inquiry, the phenomena of ET, NHI, and UFO UAP contact in dreams. Something very real is happening that will subvert the dominant paradigm and give everyone ontological shock and then help them move into a new paradigm in the post-disclosure world. So now for the apology. In the past, I was unable to distinguish between Mack's early 1990s work, his later work, or even his proponents and legacy holders. It didn't matter if you supported or created content about experiencers in the 2020s. All I saw was John E. Mack in 1994 using hypnotized sleep paralysis dreamers to sell a book. It was unfair of me to project my own history and perception of John Mack upon people in the John E. Mack Institute or the legacy holders that are taking forward his work, like the New Paradigm Institute, the Experiencer Group, or anyone continuing alien abduction research. To these people, I am sorry I was unable to see you for you because of your use of Mack's methods, research, or legacy. I see you are actively working for UAP disclosure and to elevate the testimony of experiencers. I see that it is confusing and hurtful to you for someone to deeply question Mack's credentials because those credentials supported so many experiencers in making sense of their experiences. I hope and pray that we can work together to accomplish the dreams of John Mack. I am grateful for my interaction with Mack's legacy through these people because it helped me clarify my own experience. I'm no longer afraid of traumatizing alien abduction. Your testimony, research, and graciousness made me seriously consider that Mack was ultimately right despite his challenging beginning in the 1990s. I often wonder where we would be if John Mack lived past 2011 or so. You helped me see a John Mack that I could forgive for hypnotizing me through his influence on mass media into believing that my powerful dreams were evidence that I was repeatedly violated by space aliens. I forgive Mack and those who promoted his problematic research from the early 1990s for their impact on my life. Ironically enough, by declaring that dreams were real and therefore not dreams, John Mack and his followers created a world where people seriously consider the reality of their dreams. How beautiful is that? Mack's research and methods need to be questioned, then updated with insights from research literature on dreams, sleep paralysis, and hypnosis. I hope that this apology will represent the conclusion of my crisis and the beginning of my path as an apologist for Mack and UAP disclosure. It's been a while since my last video, so this is an update about D-SETI as well. I'm emerging out of my ethical crisis now, trying to understand my position and direction in the field. I've made private many of my past videos that involved my personal processing of the triggering aspects of Mack's work. My inquiry went from credulous to skeptical and back again. Therefore, I'm trying to establish content creation and research guidelines for myself that ensures that my work stands up regardless of my perspective. I'm shifting from documenting my inquiry to sharing the findings of my inquiry. I seek spiritual guidance through dreams and omens. They say that my concerns have been heard, yet more action is needed to resolve my concerns. My guides tell me to continue my work with D-SETI as a spiritual dreamwork practice and my PhD studies at CIHS. My dream guides now tell me to build up Mack and the NHI UAP research and disclosure communities. My ethical crisis this year was so impactful for me because I aligned my professional, vocational, and research activities together. I plan to pay for PhD school to study ET encounters from donations from sessions that produce ET testimony. My plan worked while I believed in ET encounters, but failed when I became concerned about false memories related to those encounters. I'm now seeking a financial basis from which to conduct my research that will enable me to follow my inquiry into truth regardless of its profitability. While I dream that my PhD research will be funded, I'm now seeking work outside ET NHI encounters and even hypnosis to provide a solid foundation for my financial income from which I can conduct my work without needing a session or an inquiry to resolve one way or the other. I'm looking out to the universe for guidance. So if you know of an opportunity, please reach out. And please reach out if you connected with this message in any way. Thank you for being on this journey with me. May you dream well.